Hi, Leo, and welcome to your January 2024 horoscope. Happy New Year! I hope you had a wonderful December, and I hope you're excited for what's to come for January, especially because Pluto will be entering Aquarius, and we'll get a little bit more into that later in the horoscope. In January, we also have, for pretty much the whole month, Jupiter sextile Saturn. Jupiter is in a Earth sign and Saturn is in a water sign. And because of this, I feel that January is going to be a month that's quite focused on our physical needs, both our literal bodily needs, eating, sleeping, exercising, but as well our emotional needs. Let's get a little bit more into the day-to-day of January. On January 1st, Venus in your 5th house squares Saturn in your 8th house. You love to have a good time, Leo, and you love to spend time on your hobbies and doing things that make you feel good, things that are fun. But at the same time, with Saturn in your 8th house, you're being asked to take your spirituality seriously. You're being asked to take all of the things that we don't talk much about, like money and death, seriously, and to really contemplate them and learn to come to terms with them. Life is not all about fun, and sometimes there are things that really suck about life. On January 4th, Mars enters Capricorn and enters your 6th house. You might find that your work, the service that you perform with others, or for others, I should say, and also your day-to-day routine becomes a little bit more of a focus point for you, something that you're more assertive with, that you're more passionate about, that you really put your willpower and your focus and your attention towards it. And the 6th house is going to continue being highlighted for you, Leo, this month. This is because on the 11th of January, there is a new moon in Capricorn in your 6th house. Pluto is about 9 degrees away from the sun. However, it's still in the same sign and still in your 6th house. And they will only continue to get stronger and closer together. Because of that, I do think that this new moon will still have a strong Pluto influence on it. There's also another aspect during this new moon, which is an aspect between Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. Mars is sextiling Saturn, Saturn is sextiling Jupiter, and Jupiter is trining Mars. These three planets are highlighting your 6th, 8th, and 10th house. This is a powerful new beginning in regards to your day-to-day routine. If there's anything new that you want to start about your routine, this is a perfect time to do so. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised, Leo, if you are one of the few signs that actually does manage to stick with their New Year's resolutions. Because we have the 6th, 8th, and 10th house highlighted during this new moon, it looks like you're also working quite a bit. You're focused on work, you're focused on your career, and you're even focused on working on your inner world and your inner self, adjusting the things that you believe and how you approach the parts of life that are not so fun. On January 14th, Venus in your 5th house is sextiling the South Node in your 3rd house. The South Node has been in your 3rd house since November 2023, asking you to figure out all of the ways you don't speak your mind because you're afraid of what others are going to think of you. And on this day, you might especially be doing something fun in a group setting. Maybe you're going out with your friends, going bowling or something like that. And something happens during this event that really asks you again to consider when you're not really speaking your mind because you're afraid of what others will think of you. It's not a very serious opportunity because it's quite an easy aspect between the Venus and South Node. But however, make sure you take this opportunity because it's an opportunity that comes up with your friends. It's a nice and easy way to practice. Venus continues to travel through your 5th house, and on the 19th of January, it squares Neptune in your 8th house. On this day, you might find that you're easily disillusioned with your intimate relationships. Perhaps you feel like your love is so strong that it can survive anything. And while that could, of course, be true, just be really careful on this day of taking everything with a grain of salt and just waiting a little bit before you take any serious actions. And then we get to the big event of the month. On January 20th, the Sun and Pluto are conjunct, which means that they are together, the same part of the sky. They are together at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and literally just a couple of hours later, the Sun enters Aquarius, and about a day later, Pluto also enters Aquarius. So there's a lot to unpack. Let's just do it one by one. The Sun is entering your 7th house. So for the next month, you're going to have a big focus on your relationships. But because the Sun is entering your 7th house together with Pluto, it means that you're also entering a 20-year cycle with a focus on relationships. Pluto is going to be in your 7th house for the next 20 years, Leo. And Pluto is asking you to find your purpose, your meaning, and your power in your relationship. And this could mean many things. It could manifest as meeting some really powerful people that really change your life. It could mean that your partner all of a sudden becomes really powerful and really influential as well. Notice if there were any themes coming up between March and June of 2023. This was a little prequel of what you can expect with Pluto in your 7th house. On January 23rd, Venus enters Capricorn and enters your 6th house. So we talked a bit earlier that Mars is in your 6th house, which might mean that you're very passionate and very determined with your day-to-day routine. And now that Venus has also entered the 6th house, it might help mellow out that fighter energy, that warrior energy. So now instead of just being passionate and making sure that you complete all of your goals and you create a perfect routine, from the 23rd onwards, you're also going to want to enjoy your routine. Not only making sure you complete it, but also that you're having fun while doing it. On January 25th, we have a full moon in Aquarius in your 7th house. So the Sun and Pluto in your 7th house, they're about 4 degrees apart, and the moon is in your 1st house. Because Pluto is quite close enough to the Sun, 4 degrees, I do think it's still exerting quite a big influence on this full moon. And it's really asking you to find a balance between who you are on your own versus who you are in your relationships. The sextile between Saturn and Jupiter is still happening, by the way. So we're still highlighting your 8th and 10th house during this full moon. You're still learning to become an adult when it comes to the boring parts of life, the scary parts of life. And you're also getting lots of wonderful opportunities in your career as well. So all of this combined, responsibilities, the parts of life that are not so fun, do have an influence on how you show up in the world, how you are as a partner. We have to be honest that, if we spend 8 hours of our day at work, that's a sort of influence that has on us that we also bring with us when we go home from work. January 28th is also quite a big day. This is because we have a couple of transits. Mars is squaring the South and North Node. Uranus goes direct. And the aspect that we had earlier in the month between Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter is basically repeating again, but this time with Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter. Notice if there was anything happening on January 11th, because there might be a repetition of that this time around. But because the aspect is with Venus instead of Mars, it might be a little bit easier. Mars squaring the nodes is really asking you to use your courage to do the scary things. We're looking at your sixth house, your third, and your ninth. And this can manifest in a way that you have to really put together a routine or a habit that scares you, but that allows you to express yourself more authentically out there in the world without worrying what people think of you. I can even imagine this being a routine that you establish to make sure that you write on the regular or that you study on the regular. On January 30th, we close off the month with Mars trining Uranus. Uranus in your 10th house is trining Mars in your 6th. These are both work houses. One is more about the day-to-day and how we contribute in other people's lives, and the other one is about the image and the career, how others perceive us. Because it's a trine, you might find that it's a more nice flowing energy where you really see your routine helping establish a branding of yourself that you're proud of, and vice versa, that the way others perceive you is really helping you with establishing a really nice routine and really being of service to others. So wow, Leo, there is quite a bit about your relationships in January, especially with Pluto and the Sun entering your 7th house, and quite a bit of work as well. We saw your 6th house and your 10th house highlighted as well. So try your best to find a balance between the two. I can imagine that both are really important to you right now. I hope you enjoyed this January horoscope. I hope it helps give you some insight into what you can expect. And if you want to make sure you catch the February horoscope, then make sure you subscribe. I hope to see you again soon.